Most people think that the biggest threat to society is evil. But Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German thinker who lived during World War II, believed something different. He said that evil is dangerous, but stupidity can be far more destructive. Not stupidity as lack of intelligence, but a state where people stop thinking for themselves and simply follow whatever they are told. Bonhoeffer believed this is what allows entire societies to fall under harmful influence without even noticing it. Bonhoeffer wasn't just a philosopher. He openly opposed the Nazi regime at a time when speaking out could cost your life. Observing how people around him behaved, he noticed something important. Terrible things often happen not because of a few evil leaders, but because ordinary people stop questioning what they are doing. They follow the crowd, repeat slogans, defend ideas they barely understand, and attack anyone who disagrees. He explained that stupidity is not just an individual weakness, it becomes strongest in groups. When a person joins a large group or movement, they often give up their own judgment. They start trusting the group more than their own thinking. The larger the group, the easier it becomes to ignore logic and follow whatever everyone else is doing. Bonhoeffer also noticed that people become more stubborn when their beliefs come from group identity. They don't hold a belief because it's true. They hold it because it makes them belong. Challenging their belief feels like a personal attack, so they refuse to consider other perspectives. The less they understand, the more confident they act. This is why stupidity can be used as a tool by those in power. A corrupt leader does not need smart, independent followers. They need people who obey without asking questions. Throughout history, many leaders have strengthened their power by encouraging people to think less. This happens in several ways. First, by creating an us versus them mindset. Once people feel they are on a certain side, they automatically defend their side, even when it is wrong. Second, by repeating simple messages or slogans over and over. The brain likes simple explanations. When something is repeated enough times, it begins to feel true. Third, by distracting people with entertainment, arguments, scandals, and constant noise. When people are emotionally overwhelmed, they stop thinking deeply. Fourth, by flooding society with too much information. When there is too much to process, people latch onto the simplest narrative just to feel less confused. And finally, by pressuring people to follow the group. Most people would rather be accepted than be right. This is why Bonhoeffer believed stupidity is more dangerous than evil. Evil can be recognized and confronted, but stupidity spreads quietly through social pressure and repetition until it becomes normal. Once someone stops thinking critically, they often reject any information that challenges their beliefs. Facts no longer matter. So can this be changed? Bonhoeffer believed that logic and education alone are not enough. When someone has fully adopted a belief because of social pressure, giving them facts rarely works. Their mind is closed. But he believed people can still break free in other ways. Personal experience is the strongest teacher. When reality contradicts someone's belief, they may begin to question it. Sometimes hitting a difficult moment forces a person to think independently again. Another powerful method is asking questions calmly. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," asking, "Why do you believe this?" encourages the other person to think for themselves. And the final step is courage. Thinking independently often means standing apart from the group. It can feel uncomfortable. But once a person experiences the freedom of thinking on their own, they become harder to manipulate. Bonhoeffer believed that independent thinking is not just intelligence. It is moral strength. It is choosing to use your mind even when it is easier to follow the crowd. His ideas remind us that every person has the responsibility to stay aware, question what they hear, and notice when something feels wrong. Stupidity, as Bonhoeffer described it, is the absence of awareness, and awareness is the cure. When people choose to think for themselves, societies become harder to control, harder to mislead, and harder to divide. And that is the first step toward real freedom.